What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classic Clone blog. We have our face and our mouth working. I think we're going to be good. We had a little dinner surgery earlier, so we're here. We're in the building. I won't probably want to make this about 40 minutes because I have like another talking thing to do. So listen, 1 million Chinese businesses close. Are you ready to spend $8,000 on parents' care? Again, this is talking about the boomer economy. There is going to be a lot of money made from boomers and what are boomers and what are Gen X. Right now, Gen X is like 43 to 54 ish. And then after that age, you got the boomers. And now you got the silent generation that are in uh, living facilities now. Majority of boomers are not in living facilities. Majority of boomers are still working, still contributing to society. They're majority of our farmers, plumbers, electricians. But we have not really prepared ourselves for when boomers leave. Many people make jokes about soft hand men that don't want to work, men that don't want to do dangerous jobs or farm. And there is this rise of what we see a lot of women on social media going, hey, we're going to move to a homestead or we're moving further out. And it comes down to, their family probably just can't afford the city they're in and they're looking for change. So if you haven't, we're going to talk about this for the next 365 days, the 15-day challenge. Again, you want to learn how to send emails, web pages. You want to set up how to work with thousands of affiliates. Again, I work with at this point, good gracious, I think 100 solid. But really, I have the option of like 400 different people's affiliate links at any disposal if I want to. But the key of it is making it flow, make it make sense for you. If you're in my digital real estate class, we've talked about how I'm creating multiple Facebook groups that will have a sales team that will essentially be in there selling, generating leads, generating sales, and we'll just split the commissions 50-50 because that's how a lot of this works. And so that is something, if you haven't learned it yet, you should definitely go check out either 15-day challenge or check out the digital real estate course. And again, someone asked me about the planner last time. This is the planner. I'll go show it what it looks like on Amazon in a little bit. But let's get into it. Drop your city and state in the chat if you can, please. Let's get over here real quick. Let me make sure you see what these look like and why it's important for you. Because I think for people to really succeed, they need to already be planning their year. This one is one of the planners. This is a throwback classic. This is the Classic Clone all black and gold letters planner. It's a good one. It works. It does what it does. It do what it do. Right. Also, for those of you who like Erica, the black it's not doing it for me. It's too dark. No worries. Listen, I adjust it with life and with seasons. And so here we are. Here is the soft reset planner, your 96 guide to reset your body and mind. Now, again, the black is kind of no nonsense. The green has more things about water intake and walking and your gratitude. I mix it in there. So if you're looking for that one, that is where that is. Okay. Beautiful green and pink. I have one always on the desk over here. But again, soft reset planner. You can check those out at the links that we have provided. Now, why am I doing this topic after mouth surgery? My mouth feels much better, I think. I've been numb all afternoon and just kind of laying, staring in this goofy space. That they've got some powerful stuff in that. What they give you, and where does it come from? All right, just needed some surgery. Okay, so now that we got through that, let me go ahead and get to the first one. Like I had a coffee and it did nothing because I went straight knocked out. Okay, here we go. I think we're gonna start with. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm gonna start with this one because I know it's a little delayed, but it's like making fun of the Richmond. The guy who played the song that went viral. And again, our brains are very short. So here you go.
Why I'm not more mad, actually. Mad that I pay taxes on a home that I already own, paid for by a paycheck I already paid taxes on, that I fix with materials that I buy and pay more taxes on when I purchase them, taxes that essentially have me working from January to June for free. I pay 50% of my income to government at various levels, and yet the bridge by my house has been closed for a year with not so much as a spray paint line on the ground or a start date. Yet, when I hit a pothole and get a flat tire on roads that I'm taxed to drive on, I have to wait on hold for hours sometimes to get a human only to tell me, sorry, we're not going to pay for your tire. I have no recourse. My dollars were 17 cents less than it was 2 years ago, but you don't reduce my taxes any. The government just burdens me. It's our problem to figure out where we're going to make up that other 17 cents. If I treated government the way they treated me, I'd be up to my eyeballs in fines and penalties. So yeah, that song resonates with me. Rich men north of Richmond got me wondering why I'm not more mad, actually. Mad that I pay taxes on a home that I already own.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that there. I want you guys to understand that there is kind of a when Hillary Clinton, did everybody hear that? Put a one in the comments if you heard that. Like when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were on stage, kind of going back and forth, she was like, he avoids taxes. She's like, these are, and he was like, these are the laws you've written for us to play with. The same laws you use, the same laws everybody else uses, and there's kind of this mentality of like, well, rich people don't pay taxes, and it's like that's just silly, because at the end of the day, like, they do. End of the day, they absolutely do. They really don't have much choice. Like Grant Cardone made a video, and someone snipped it up, and they already mad with it. I was gonna find it, but I couldn't, and I'm still a little woo woo. And it was basically his daughter. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna show you how to never pay any taxes. When your first job is with me, making $200,000 a year, you're gonna go get a property and put X amount of dollars into it and get the deductions." Now, of course, many accountants and people who do taxes were like, "Hey, yeah, that's a little too high. Your numbers are off there, Grant." But many people were like, 200,000 her first job. Like, how the heck? How is that possible? What is she gonna do? And then that already showed you that people didn't watch the whole clip. The clip's like 45 seconds, and it literally is him telling her, "You're gonna come work for." She's like, "I'm gonna get 200K." He's like, "You're gonna come work for me." And so many people have such short attention span, they couldn't even finish a 45-second video without responding to the first 5 seconds of what he said. And so with the combination of people who are not paying attention, usually what happens is you start working in the workforce, and you start looking at your check like, where are these taxes coming from? And then you start getting involved in your local community. Usually how people own a house, and then they start being invested in that house. One of the biggest complaints in Texas is about taxes. Oh, well, Texas has no state income tax. And maybe people are like, well, my house, I pay $5,000. I remember hearing this lady at the event I just went to for Dr. Boyce Watkins. She was like, I pay $8,000 a year in taxes. First thing I said, are you homestead exempt? Have you did this, did that? Are you wrote off a lot of stuff? And I said, well, where are you from? Detroit. Now, first thing in my head is like, Detroit is overtaxed, period, on the properties, but you're used to some little hole in the wall shack in Detroit only charging you, $3,000 a year for taxes in a city that's falling apart. You're in a city that's growing, booming. You have a city and then when she explained how big her house was, tell me where you were going to live in Detroit in a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, acre property house for, and she came here so long ago, $850,000. That doesn't exist even here in Texas anymore. It don't even exist in parts of North Carolina anymore. So you have people who are basically getting homes, and that's when all of a sudden they want to pay attention. Oh, why am I paying these taxes? Now they want to start educating themselves. But if you have adults who never, and I'm just going to be careful with this, graduate or buy a home or have any assets, the thought of them learning about taxes or where taxes go, it doesn't occur. That's dangerous for our society. The more adults we have that buy homes, that start businesses, and start going, what the heck? This is why you see this mass exodus out of California, where people are paying 50% of their money. Another place people are paying almost 50% of their money is DC. That's why I kept saying taxation without representation. They're paying a lot of taxes because they're located around very wealthy buildings, and they don't understand what's happening when simple sitting down and studying would open that for their eyes. Right. And this is why when people talk about fighting taxes, again, the British Tea Party, where we threw all that tea in the ocean, was for 3% tax, y'all. We're at 50% now, and we were throwing tea in the ocean for 3%. So when people talk about why are people angry about taxes, and why is there so many entrepreneurs, I keep seeing the stat over and over again. It'd be better to work a job than be an entrepreneur. Average entrepreneur only makes 80K a year, 60K a year. And again, I say, look at what it says, profit. That means that person wrote down all their stuff to get down to 80K or to get down to 60K. The average business that I see that runs and functions in this country makes around 300K a year. That's what they wrote off. You don't make more than most business owners, whether they're home health care, whether they're a handyman, whether they're a plumber. They done wrote all that stuff off, and then they're going to pay what's left. But this is a convenient tool that someone uses to convince y'all of this. I personally know like 3 people who've made 1.5 million in a year, but yet if you look at their taxes, oh, I only made 40K. Well, we all both know that's not true, right? But again, oh, the rich should pay more taxes. You'll never get them in that game. You'll never get them in that game. So I hope that was informative. I'm going to keep moving because I just know it goes into a theme of what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Because here's another play that people try to do. And it's important for you to understand why people are doing it. And then the next segment is on the Chinese. But let's go here first.
$8,000 a month. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that?
The crazy part is we have 79 million boomers and nobody is, thinking, oh, I need to make sure I have money put aside for my children, my parents. Your parents aren't even thinking about their long-term care. They argue with people about buying a home or, even investing in life insurance. Between inflation and elder care, some of y'all gonna be in real trouble next couple of years. Good luck out there.
I called an elder care facility to find out pricing for like assisted living for potentially one of my parents, and they said $8,000 a month. At least $8,000 a month. Who's gonna pay for that? Who's gonna pay for that?
The crazy part is we have 79 million boomers and nobody is, thinking, oh, I need to make sure I have money put aside for my children, my parents. Your parents aren't even thinking about their long-term care.
Okay, you don't need to hear my mouth over and over again. Boo, who's that? Right. And so I literally wrote a thing that said $8,000 a month. Many will say keep their parents at home. Home care nurses and CNAs have high rates too. Again, you're paying $25 an hour for some of these people to come to your home. Ignoring money or having to get higher skills while your 20s to 40s will wreck y'all. If you don't, I'm going to say if you don't. But again, if you look in the comments, majority of people are like Medicaid, Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid. Again, where does that Medicaid come from? Your taxes. But also, if you read the people's conversation in here, they're like, oh, I'm moving all my mother's and father's money around so that I can do what? Qualify for them to be on Medicaid. So you're basically having to figure out what is a trust? How do I move my parents' money? How do I liquidate their home? Right? This is something no one's talking about. But I love in the comment section, most people are like, well, I'm about to start an adult care facility. $8,000. Somebody wasn't here saying it was 13 grand. Friend to the show, Financial Rebel, he said that he tried his hardest so long to get people to understand what is right long-term care policy. It's an actual policy you can invest money into. And there's a joke kind of like with people I know when I was getting $1 million policy on my life, because I was like, hey, if something happens with all these trucks and companies and stuff, I don't want my mother to be burdened. I want her to pay out $1 million, close everything down and get over it. But I even told them instruction on how to delete my YouTube. Like if something was to happen to me, delete all this, go on about your life. Don't worry about it. Don't be out here Kevin Samuels and me. No, please don't. Delete all of it. Right. But you have to have these conversations. And people, there's a young lady I know, beautiful young lady. She's an RN, and she was so stressed when I saw her on a travel group. And her mother had encouraged her, please go on this travel. Her mother had a stroke, and she was a nurse as well. She was from the islands, and she had been taking care of her in her home. And you could tell she was just absolutely stressed out that she was taking care of her mother. And then she had a daughter going to college. And her mother had been down for the past 5 years. And so her mother was like, please go. I know you're tired. Go. So she goes on a trip. She has a blast. She comes back. Not even 6 months later, her mom passes away, unfortunately, like maybe 8 months. And to this day, she's like that. Her mother knows she needed that break. She only had one kid. And so she was the kid to take care of her. And they're being from the islands. It was the thing to do. Right. And so her daughter, she only has one kid. So again, the cycle will repeat. Now she's a nurse, but she's like, I only take contracts here and there because I was so burnt out from taking care of my mom. And then 2, I'm going to just travel. And that's exactly what she did. She's just been traveling. She's on a 16 city tour in Asia right now. And I'm like, congratulations. But what people are not preparing themselves for is the cost of this. This is why I keep telling y'all, look at it from the perspective. God, my mouth hurting. Hold on. Ooh. Looking at it from the perspective of what businesses can you start. When people talk about the size of homes, oh, I don't want no big old house. You need to figure out how much a mother-in-law suite is. You're going to add 10 to 15K space on. Oh, Lord. Let's let that pill kick back in. Okay. And when I saw the company here that's like, hey, in 4 weeks, we can get you start to finish. They can build this little, outer pod onto your house for 10 to 20K. What happens is they can get a permit fast through the city. Now, if they need to get a plumbing or do any bathroom or stuff, then it costs a little bit more. But they were marketing them as office space. But everybody I knew was like, oh yeah, that's for people's mother-in-laws. Make sure it has a bathroom so she can stay in there. It wasn't even like, and they're huge. They look like sheds, but they're very nicely done. Windows, steps, all this stuff. Because even here, if you come to Texas or if you go to North Dallas, really Dallas is the best place example of this. Parts of Dallas, that's just built in. There's a part of Round Rock over here where every single location has a mother-in-law suite. And people joke and say it's for their teenagers, so they're not on their side of the house. But really, it is for your mother-in-law. Because stereotypically, your mother's going to outlive your father, even if they're married. They may live longer together if they're married, but if your daddy go, that's pretty much what it's saying. It's for your mother. Even in Georgetown, they have a thing called Sun City. All the homes they built there for 2-bedroom, 2-bath with wheelchair accessibility. Again, this is a thing, y'all. So you just need to figure out, again, like there's a group that I'm getting ready to join out of Dallas, and they're literally, their whole thing is how many adult daycare places can we build? Now, what does that mean? The person gets out of the house, they come play bingo, they come socialize. You may do some fun things. You may teach dancing classes there in the daytime, but that's what's going to happen to a lot of these event spaces. Because people saying, what's going to happen to these empty spaces that companies are leaving behind? I'm like, they're going to convert them to adult daycares. They're going to convert them to somewhere that adults 68 to 82 can go. They're going to convert them to places where staff can come in and out, but they don't have to stay overnight. This is going to be a thing, right? Because even though people care for their parent is going to be there part-time. And I feel bad for this girl. She looks absolutely stressed about the thought of having to care for one of her parents. But again, if you don't got 13, 18, 8K, all this stuff, what are you going to do? Again, 13K a month from where my dad planned to go is where my mother was when it was reasonable 30 years ago. Okay. Medicaid. People keep saying Medicaid in the comments, but again, some people are joking talking about, I'm going to send my parents to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? And visit them. This person is saying $6,000 a month in Georgia. And that was basic services. I don't know if any of y'all are in here in Georgia. Let me know. Right. This person said, even the most decent places are stressful. Again, you gotta listen. You gotta, and part of why I was telling my family, like when I want to build something, I wanted to build something in North Carolina, but I wanted it to be wheelchair accessible. There's a lot of veteran men that come back to that town because they can be close to the VA and get all the unlimited care they want. And that you'll meet a lot of older Black and Latino people that moved to Fayetteville, and you're like, well, what made you come here? Oh, it's close to the VA and it's okay, and we got a cheap house with wheelchair access. You see it all through these neighborhoods, right? Even here, this person saying moved to Florida and it was between $4,000 to $5,000. Moved to Puerto Rico and it was $1,500 to $2,500. I'm looking for another Latin American country so I can hire someone. I can keep her at home with me. And this girl's super cool. She just had a baby. She's a stock market president. She got money. I'm not counting her pockets, but again, she got some money. Again, y'all can read through all these. And people saying 8K is on the expensive side. They're telling you. And people are just kind of ignoring it, right? This person's mother's in a level 3 care memory unit. $4K a month, and it isn't Walmart of services nor Nordstrom tier. Have conversations with your parents. My mom was 58 with early onset dementia. Her mom has nothing, no accents, no long-term care insurance, anything. I'm going to come in here and respond to some of these people because I really do feel bad for them. But again, I just keep telling people, like, come on. And this will cause people to move to rural areas. People keep playing like, oh no, ain't nobody everybody want to live in New York and live in California and all of that. No, you don't, because you can't afford it. And when I mean you can't afford it, you can't afford for your mom and you, or you can't afford for your children to go to private schools and you can't afford for a lot of the stuff and you. And so this isn't meant to be a doomer gloomer channel, but it is basically me just trying to have the conversation with you, like, where's the planning? Who's planning for long-term care here? So just gonna keep it there. I was paying $84K a year full-time care for my grandmother before she passed, and it was at their home. Come on, man. Come on. Talk to them. That was almost 20 years ago. 10, not 20. He said 10. Okay. Come on. Exactly. Come on, man. So I just want people to get real with this. 192 people here. If you hear me, drop a 1 in the comments. I'm gonna go to the last one. This is the one that's most important. And I keep, when I kept talking about the border, they kept showing all these like men, Asian men at the border, and people kept saying, nah, this is weird. Why are so many Asians at the border? It's just the military. And I was like, nah, these are old Chinese people. These ain't young 20-year-old men. And when I tell people about Africa, I'm like, the Asians are going to double down on Africa because they're already in a recession. Their birth rates threw them in a recession. Listen, China, when people say, oh, China's going to take over as a powerhouse, and even economists were like, no, because the lack of women, like their numbers are funny. They can't sustain. They got too much funny business in their numbers. And so when you talk to people about it, they looked at you crazy because they're like, oh no, China's going to take over. And I'm like, you again, this is what happens when you don't have enough women. So here we go. Let's just kick into it. All right. And this is, I always give her props. That's why I leave it right here on the screen. You can, she has cool stuff. She does great stuff. She talks about AI. Her and Dr. Dix do a great job of that. And so I always give her props, and I am using her stuff. You can see her stuff on the screen. I don't never take nobody's stuff. I'm just using it as an example. So here we go. Let's go.
The downward trend of China's economy is becoming increasingly evident, impacting various industries, with the catering sector facing immense challenges. A wave of closures is swiftly engulfing the industry. Since November, the business in China's catering industry has become more difficult than in previous years, with an increasing number of restaurants closing or being put up for lease. This chilling effect on the market has not spared even well-known chain brands or popular eateries, putting operators, employees, and suppliers in a difficult situation and drawing widespread attention. Guys, I just got back from Singapore and came to Guangzhou Huadu to grab a meal. A local driver recommended this Sunac Mall, said to be one of the better malls here. But look at the business here. This Lu Xiaofeng is a well-known restaurant. Only 2 or 3 tables occupied. The 2 restaurants opposite are also empty. Guess what time it is? Let me tell you, it's 12:30 on a Friday, and there are hardly any customers in the mall. The man in the video speaks candidly, advising, listen to me, everyone. The downward trend of China's economy is becoming increasingly evident. Hours between 20% to 50%, and some restaurants only serving 2 tables. Eateries that once required queuing are now easily accessible without waiting. China's restaurant industry is really facing a wave of closures. I did some searching and found that in the second half of 2023, the closure rate of various types of restaurants in China reached a staggering 70%. I also toured the city and found that business in the restaurant industry is generally weak, and even long-established restaurants of over a decade are transferring ownership. This small restaurant owner believes that the severe downturn in China's catering industry is primarily because people genuinely have no money to spend, affecting not only small establishments like his, but also well-known chain restaurants, many of which are struggling with debt. The second-hand catering equipment industry is also feeling the chill of the industry's downturn. Actually, from October this year, the restaurant industry has been facing a nationwide wave of closures. I saw hours between 20% to 50%, and some I saw some data just this year. Nearly 1 million restaurant licenses have been revoked or canceled. The restaurant industry in 2023 is really tough. If you want to know how the restaurant industry is doing, just ask the second-hand equipment recyclers. We're the first to sense it. Today, we came to the largest second-hand equipment recycling market in Hangzhou, Zhejiang, to take a look. After visiting, the man found that the second half of this year saw a significant increase in closed restaurants and received a lot of secondhand equipment, especially from kitchens and hot pot restaurants. However, very few of these items are being resold, as fewer people are opening restaurants. The surplus of secondhand equipment from milk tea shops also remains unsold. The chilling effect on China's economy is increasingly evident. For example, among 4 adjacent restaurants, only a small snack shop remains operational, while the other 3 have shut their doors. In Tianhe South Road, known as Guangzhou's Beverage Street, the reshuffling of storefronts is even more ruthless. I saw some data just this year. Nearly 1 million restaurant licenses have been revoked or canceled. In a visit by Red Restaurant Net, 6 beverage shops in the area were up for lease or transfer, and another 3 to 4 shops were being barricaded. The report indicates that the bleak market conditions are not limited to Guangzhou, but are also prevalent in Shenzhen, Beijing, Chengdu, Guizhou, Changsha, and other regions. Some restaurants, despite their small scale, incur high costs on delivery and food platforms as well as rent. However, due to a steep decline in customer volume and other contributing factors, many owners find it unbearable and are forced to exit. Not only small eateries are suffering under the strain. The popular fried chicken chain brand Zhengshin Chicken Steak, once ubiquitous across China's streets and alleys, is facing a precipitous decline, with nearly 10,000 stores shutting down. Zhengshin Chicken Steak, known for its fried chicken cutlets and targeting the casual snack market, began franchising in 2013 and rapidly expanded across mainland China, with store numbers surpassing those of McDonald's. A visit by Red Restaurant Net, 6 beverage shops in the area, McDonald's and KFC combined. According to data publicly released by Zhengshin Group, as of April 2020, Zhengshin Chicken Steak had 20,797 stores worldwide, 3 times that of KFC China and 7 times that of McDonald's China, selling over 720 million chicken cutlets a year. Red Restaurant Big Data showed that by 2021, the number of Zhengshin chicken shop stores had surged to 25,000. However, Chinese media reports indicate that Zhengshin Chicken Steak is facing a significant decline in franchisees. Data from Jiamen Catering platform shows that the number of Zhengshin Chicken Steak stores has dropped to just over 11,000, approximately returning to its 2017 levels. Liu Mengyuan, who once operated a Zhengshin Chicken Steak franchise in Henan, said many fellow franchisees like her have exited the business this year. Out of over 20 franchisees she knows, less than 7 or 8 are still operating. The primary reason for the closures is McDonald's and KFC combined. Less than 7 or 8 are still operating. The primary reason for the closures is poor business. Liu Mengyuan revealed, "Look around the country. Which Zhengshin store still has a line? It's good if 1 in 100 can manage. Less than 7 or 8 are still operating." The primary reason for the closures is poor business. Liu Mengyuan revealed, "Look around the country."
Okay. I got one more thing she says, so I just want to make sure. Could you guys hear all that? Can you drop a 1 in the comments? Can you hear all that? Please let me know if you can hear. If that was loud and clear. If I need to go back, let me know, please. There's 214 people here. No, Bob, I'm not saying you have to be rich. I'm not saying you're upper class, but I'm saying if you don't own your house, or you have some type of assets, again, the America's already defaulted 3 times. 1968, we quit taking silver. 1971, all right, we said no more gold standard. 1929, we changed something in our banking, or the Great Depression, or was it 1931? Like one of the years. And so when you talk to people about, do you understand that we've already defaulted before? And what changes America is the people, influx of people coming into our country. Okay. I did. I literally did. I did. I had teeth surgery today. I had jaw surgery, so I didn't run around and make a whole new thumbnail. So thanks for that. Thanks for that recognition. Hold on a second. Okay, now that you shared that, is there anything else you'd like to add, Ray? Nothing? Okay, cool. Keep it moving. Do you know by chance these local chamber of commerce events are live stream? I seen one I want to attend, but they're doing work hours. It depends on the area. 9 times out of 10, they're not. It's purpose for you to get to know other business owners, other chamber of commerce event folks. They usually have some after hour stuff as well. I'm gonna buy some secondhand. Hey man, Ray did put it. He sure did. Stop it. Okay, so let me go on to the next. I mean, because this is all goes into the tax thing. I'm telling you, this all goes into your adult home facilities. And like, if you don't think of how to take care of your family, because again, most restaurant stuff is what the mom, dad, and the children working. Even in the United States, when you had Chinese restaurants prolifically in New York, they're saying now third generation are not coming to do the restaurant, so they're closing in parts of New York, or they sell it to other immigrants that are fresh coming in because it's something they know how to do, right? Cook food. It's an easy in for immigrants. Right now, down the street from me is a Nigerian food place that has like a buffet and you could choose a bunch of stuff. Now, I haven't gone in there yet, but everybody's making a bunch of noise about it. So I said, let me go check it out at some point here. But yeah, again, this is a big deal. These people that you see that are missing from their economy, they ain't staying in China. They taking whatever money they done saved up, and if they can, they're taking a plane and they're bouncing. Now, what do I mean they're bouncing? They're going to Africa. Singapore is I don't know if you guys saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians. If you've seen the movie Crazy Rich Asians, put a 2 in the comments or something, right? Crazy Rich Asian was basically how Singapore became this mecca of money because so many people came and you go to all kind of restaurants and businesses moved there. A lot of expats were talking about it. But again, if you look at a lot of people in these different spaces, they move to places to save money, not to spend money. They move to Vietnam to not really spend any money. They move to Thailand to not spend any money, right? There's even not passport bros, but older passport white people who've done this 20 years before y'all, who are like, oh my God, the taxes are going up in Thailand. We can't afford to stay. Well, look up, the couple lives in the middle of nowhere in Thailand on like a little patty farm. So at some point in the conversation, people keep saying, well, you just need to manage your money or make more skills, or, oh, America's too expensive. Well, if you've moved to Thailand from America and you live in the middle of nowhere in a patty farm and you still can't afford to live, at some point in this conversation, we need to do what? Talk about what? Money. You done moved to a whole nother country with no skills. That ain't gonna work long, y'all. Again, you have pensioners who are leaving America and they're like, I'm gonna go live in Panama. Cool. They give all kind of discounts. I loved it. Panama's awesome for that. But let's do the math. At the end of the day, that 1,500 only gonna stretch so far. You know what I'm saying? That $2,000 a month is only gonna stretch so far. So at some point, people have to really sit down and do the math on their life because everybody's like, oh, I can just always leave and go live somewhere cheaper. Okay. If you say so. Right? So again, now you're going to say, well, Erica, what does this matter? And again, that's why I'm going to play her second part right here. This is important. I'm going to let her rock and I'll come back in a second.
Number one, as a Black business owner, we tend to sell products that are not essential for everyday living. Number two, we tend to have products that are overpriced because we can't get our profit margins where they need to be because we usually don't have the capital to buy in the type of bulk that would do that. Number three, we tend to service and sell to our own, and our own have the least disposable income. As inflation has ticked up, the average American is spending an additional $416 a month, groceries, gas, services. They've all gone up and they are going to continue to go up. So when your customer is looking at their new budget and they are seeing items on their list, you must understand when the consumer is hit with high costs, the first thing they think to do is cut back. So you have to ask yourself, is your product going to be the item that they start taking off the list? I'm about to give you real action, tangible tips and strategy to make sure that your business, number one, as a Black business owner,
Okay, so y'all can always go check her out. I always want to give props that where I'm like pulling this from. And she does this, like, if you go check out her page, she does a great job with talking about automation and what's going on. But I wanted to tie that in because I don't think y'all understand that all these people you're seeing at the border, they're Hispanic, they're Mexican. No, they're not. Mexico good right now. Mexico got businesses building up. Mexico is good right now. You have to understand, you've had people sending like $100 to $300 to $500 a week home to Mexico for 20, 30 years. They good. It's the other countries that aren't good. It's the other places that ain't thriving. This is why I want y'all to understand, like, and go check her out. Like, I'm not trying to, like, I want you guys definitely see it. I'm just giving reaction to it. But I want you to understand my point of all this. I'm showing you this is, and talking about this is, when you just saw a bunch of Asian men at the border, they weren't young men. They weren't young men. Right? And so again, you guys keep trying to say, oh, China's influence. Like, again, they're going to countries because they're going to come here. Like, if you left China and you done paid some guy at the border to cross you over Mexico to get here, first thing you're gonna do is go what? Find other Chinese communities, and they're in every city of the United States almost. Houston has a big one. Carrollton, Texas, Dallas, Texas. All these places have a Chinatown. Katy has a giant shopping center of like 40 different restaurants, 40 or 50 of them, right there in one section. Right? And they put an H mark over there. They'll keep doing that. They'll be fine. They will come here and guess what? They'll pay the little $120 to get an LLC and go open up a business. What happened when ICE under Trump was like, we're going around and we're rounding folks up. We're going to get these folks out of here. Literally, Houston city council member came out there crying, saying, you will not round up these honest, hardworking Chinese businessmen and Korean businessmen because they were illegals. You know what I'm saying? They're illegals. And he's like, you will not round them up. They're hardworking. That means they've done what? Put money in that congressman's pocket, that city council member's pocket. They're like, hey, defend us. And so what you got to understand is many people are trying to figure out how to do nothing. They're trying to figure out how to do the least, most. They don't want to invest in a business. They don't want to buy a house. They want to live in an apartment their whole life. They just want to walk down the street and that's easy. And they want to live in a 500 square unit apartment building where they can just have internet and watch Netflix. And that is their life. They are content with that. Don't get it twisted. They are very content with that. My suggestion to you, if you're a Black business owner, and everybody's not going to tell you what's behind the scenes, there were a lot of people made a slush of money in 2019 to 2021 off Instagram, off YouTube, off all that. When interest rates are low, everybody looks like a genius. Everybody looks like a genius. When people are taking hits, they take hits. But if you can pivot, if you can be smart, again, that's why I talk about joining these groups, talk about joining associations. I talked about Apex, Entourage, why I go around with them, is I'm telling you, I'm sitting in the room with people who have, and again, if you're in my Middleman and Millions course, you'll see how we work the math out on it. Like a $1.5 million business, half of y'all could have that with 2 workers, 1 cargo van, and it be a service that's $1,000 to $4,000. All right. And so we break it down in January. We'll have a big thing January 12th, I think, out of Dallas. We'll do a whole little thing out of Dallas and talk about it with you guys. But I want you to understand, like, some of the business owners you see on the internet right now, they're taking all that profit they have and they're sliding it into other businesses. Go check out Anthony Pompeo, huge white YouTuber, made a slush of money, moved from New York to Florida during the pandemic, right? Talking Wall Street. He even repeatedly, go check out My First Million. A bunch of those guys are doing the same thing. Those social media marketing agencies, a lot of those guys were working with companies who are like, we can't afford your marketing fees anymore. And the guys have made so much money, they're like, we'll buy out your service business. That way I'll keep running ads. I'll be 70%, you'll be 30%. You get a check and you keep moving on about your life. You got to understand, as these boomers get older, some of them are late 60s, they don't care. As long as it still looks like they own the place and you're the behind the scenes money, that's cool. That's what they'll do. And the fact that y'all can get an equipment loan for just about anything, that's why I talked about a lot in my funding course about these equipment loans. If you got the equipment, right, you just need the people. You just need enough capital to go the first 60 days. And you should be getting invoices. You be getting paid at your services you're doing to go on. Again, you're going to see a lot of people that were in a social digital space take some of that social digital money and put it into brick and mortar, small brick and mortar businesses, small little shops, small little outfits that can do lots of money from a 1,000 square foot office, right? But again, hopefully y'all hearing what I'm saying. Let me read some more comments real quick. You can survive 2K on some other countries. Simone B, yes and no. When I went to Panama a couple different times, one of the first time I went to Belize. Oh, this one I came back from Belize. I was coming back from Belize And there was a guy on the plane, and he sat in my seat in first class. So I'm pissed. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Well, kind of find out this dude's got cancer. He's dying. He's like a bag of bones. His clothes are just about to fall off his body. He's got a dog, and he's like, I don't have any food for my dog. I'm just trying to get home. And I go, well, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to West Virginia. And I said, oh, okay, well, people meeting you there. When's the last time you've been there? He's like, I ain't been to West Virginia in 30 years. I said, well, who's picking you up? He's like, my youngest son. I said, well, how old is he? 35. I said, so the last time he saw you was at 5? He's like, yeah. This man was going home to die. Because even if you get $2K and you have to pay for cancer treatment, you have to pay everything, you're going to go home. When we were in Panama with our travel group, there was a couple that were from London. They had been gone from London for 40 years. They'd been in Africa. They'd been in Panama for 20 plus years, beautiful tropical scenery. They were going home. The husband was so elderly, so like walking. These people eventually go back home. So this whole notion that I'm going to try to go spend the last 20 years of my life living on noodles and rice and $2K in somebody else's country, unless you got majority of your family coming with you, you're going to pack it up and come back to America to spend your last couple of final years. So when people try to get around this conversation that like, well, I'm just going to leave and I'm going to live off this little bit of no money, you have to solve the money problem. It's a beautiful fantasy. But as a person who's really traveled the world and gone to Costa Rica and seen old folks' homes in other countries, like these people don't want to die in a foreign. They want to come back where their kids are, and they will. This is a thing. This is a thing, baby. All them properties from the 1980s and 90s in Panama that are for sale, it's from people who were down there and they went home to die. We went and saw a mansion that'd been abandoned for like 8 years or something like that. The lady. She had all this money. She came down there. She spent every dime of it and went back to Florida, bought a house in cash, and then died in the house in Florida. Her brother, who's also an old person, is like, the hell is this? Like, I didn't know she was down here living like this. This is a mansion. What am I supposed to do with it? They're like, you want to sell it? Yeah. Like, what else can I do with it? He has a whole life of his own. And so you got to have this real fantasy talk that a lot of our community is having and other people are having. Like, I'm just going to go overseas. There's several black men here on YouTube who went over to Thailand and now they have a wife and more kids. Like there's one black guy, he was a mailman in Chicago. He got 3 grown adult kids, went over to Thailand. First woman he married, she came back to America and asked for them for an emergency visa and wouldn't go back to Thailand with him. Got his kid, is here in America. She's his wife, so she got to stay. Now he's got another woman he lived with. She pregnant, and now she done had a baby. So this man has literally racked up 2 more wives in his late 50s after leaving Chicago to go to Thailand. One done ran off and came to America. Was like, I ain't coming back. I'm dead. Now he's with a second one, and he was going off on somebody in the a paperwork office. This stuff is, you can see this online. This isn't like you're making this up. This is like you can go see these people chronicles and their stories right on this internet because they post it and they share it for real. So, do what you do with that. But I find it comical. Find it very comical. Picky Girl Travels did a live about Mexico minimum wage increase. That means foreigners will need more income for residency. Yeah. That's what you'll need. Listen, Zanzibar is beautiful. And when I was there, I think it was like 39,000. Now it's like 69,000. I think it's even more now if you buy one of those properties to get residency. Panama was 250. 250,000. Belize was 150. Might be more now. Several of these countries I studied personally myself. Y'all think because I don't sit here and talk about, I'm gonna live somewhere else and get a multiple passports. Like, baby, this ain't new. This ain't new for people who really do business. I wish beauty makers would buy raw ingredients in bulk for many. And this is the thing. They're in hustle mode. So when they finally get into doing the math that like, I need to like buy all this stuff in bulk and do A, B, and C, it gets tough. I do talk about different investments and different things and what Money Wednesday. It's called Wealth Wednesdays. Because it's just stuff I can't talk here that people think, oh, that's financial advice. It's not. Just telling you what we're doing. Right. And that's where I go with it. Did you guys have any other questions? But yeah, this is the bulk of this show. I'm not going to keep you here all night. Mr. Why does reality have to be called doom and gloom? I don't understand that. We should be aware of what's going on. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, if you want to go live in another country, I think it's a great opportunity for you to do that with your American money. There is a young lady like Rise from the Phoenix or whatever. She went overseas, and she was basically pregnant and had a baby by herself and was like, I'm just gonna go overseas. I'm going to Costa Rica with this baby and her last $2,000 in her pocket. You know what I mean? Um, and so you got to understand that that's how people really be thinking. She went to Costa Rica on her last money, and her mom and her stepfather was like, "We'll come with you. We'll come with you because you got a grandbaby and you'll be by yourself." So they go with her. The aunt even goes with her. Well, because they're living so cheaply, and she built a business while she was over there. Then she goes, "Well, let me go over and check out Africa. Let's go travel some because we now have saved up money. We created a business. It's making money. We can do it." Well, they go to Africa. They're renting a place in Egypt for $300 for part time of the year. Right? They're getting access to a life they would have never been able to live if they'd stayed in Virginia. And that's because what? They didn't have these skills to live a high kind of travel life. So if people tell me, "Hey, Eric, I want to go overseas," I want you to go. I definitely want you to travel because at the end of the day, like I've already like I know what's happening to people if they don't get the skills, if they don't start a business. You're locked into a segment of society which isn't miserable. I mean, again, in America, we have fat poor people, we have fat homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not get it twisted. We're not um we're not suffering in America, right? But if you don't get the skills while you're here, you're going to see more and more people doing videos talking about, "I'm a nurse and I don't have any money and I only have a little bit of money left over." And you're like, boo, like, do the math, figure it out. What's going on? Relocate, downsize, move further out. There has to be some kind of give in this equation. So let me see what else y'all had in here real quick. And then I'm gonna wrap it out. If you had lived overseas in a cheaper country until now, you probably lucked out. Inflation is already affecting every country now. Exactly. And also, too, how will you make money and live while you're over there? This isn't a knock. This is just a brain thinking session. I'm going to go overseas and I'm going to live cheaper. Will you convince your parents to do it? Will you convince your mother to come with you? Will you convince? Because I had my mom, I said something about traveling somewhere. And she was like, "Oh, I'm starting to get older. I don't want to do all that travel." But if I say Alaska, if I say Germany, if I say certain countries, she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll just go. We'll get on the plane." So, yeah, I'm getting off here. That's why I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm doing Tide Capital tonight. So I'm going to go take another pill for my mouth and I'm going to wrap this show up. But I just want y'all to understand like the power and what's coming if you guys aren't paying attention. Right? Again, I did a little experiment this past week on my thing. Look, come on, look. Folks were tripping about your dark skin post. We all grew up with a Nikki in our neighborhood that was dark skinned and fine. I posted a picture that I just got off. I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful ladies." I just posted it. Didn't even think about it. I was like, 1990s classic. And people were writing think pieces. "Erica, you colorist. These are only light-skinned black ladies. Why?" And I'm like, what is going on? Where is this coming from, y'all? If y'all don't chill out. So then I post a different picture with dark-skinned ladies. "Lisa Ray, is she a light skin?" Like, I mean, you guys were ready to battle about some pictures from the internet from the 90s and 2000s. Ready to battle. But if I ask you about starting businesses, if I ask you about investing your money, all that energy is gone. Our living expenses in the U.S. is $35K a year, depending on how you manage your money. I'm from Jamaica, and my husband has a house there. It does depend on how you spend your money. But right now in Jamaica, you guys have 5 public beaches. Let's be really clear. You have 5 public beaches in Jamaica. The rest that have been bought out by private companies and private resorts. Y'all can't even get access to y'all beach. So when Jamaicans be getting jazzy with me, I'll be like, "Y'all don't even have access to your own beach in your own country. They bought out every edge of y'all beaches in your country." You know what I mean? So this kind of thought process that they're going to go back to Jamaica is like, what? And go where? And do what? Be at the same 5 beaches? That's it. Like they literally just did a video of a documentary on you guys having there's a guy who was a fisherman. He had to get on his bike and pedal 10 miles to go fish. They can't even get on their boats. Again, where do you think these people are going? These Asian people are going to Jamaica. They're going to Belize. Listen, we were in In the mountains of Boquete, there was Chinese restaurants up in there. These people gonna pick up their skills and go somewhere. That's why I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like when Nigerians, all these people say this stuff, I'm like, have you seen the news reports of Nigerians fleeing to the airport? They don't want to get caught up in that war. They're gonna come right over here. They're gonna take their nursing license and be over here, be over in Canada. People move around to what country is best. People can say whatever they want about America. It's one of the easiest countries to make money, one of the easiest countries to save money, one of the easiest countries to invest. If you can't get it right here, baby, I don't know where you're gonna live, but you got to live in the middle of a hole in the wall and act like it's cool. There was a video on Vice where they're showing a documentary of guys living for $275 a month in Mexico. Some of them had beautiful places, absolutely beautiful. Some of them had like a hood spot. It was looking crazy in there. Folks have to get focused. They do. They do. They'll be absolutely fine. That'll be absolutely fine. So anyways, you guys, I got to get on out of here. I got to take my pill for my teeth, and then I'll be over in Todd Millie's mastermind tonight. See you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this show. Bye.